JPEGMAFIA has fast become the face of hip-hop's innovation. And as a producer, he breaks many rules on his latest album, I Lay Down My Life For You. There are so many unique ideas on this album that every producer should pay attention to. So today we're going to uncover exactly what he's doing differently by analyzing his beats on this album and breaking down 3 ideas that he uses in his production that you can use to improve your own beats too. My name is Navie. I've been producing for over a dozen plus years and have analyzed a lot of amazing producers' beats to learn their techniques, and that's exactly what we're gonna do today. Now I think the best way to do this is to compare what most producers do versus what JPEGMAFIA does on this album, so you can see just how unusual his production approaches are. So let's start with the first idea. When it comes to beat switch-ups, JPEGMAFIA's approach is different than most producers. For example, let's compare this song off of Travis Scott's last album, Utopia, which also has some phenomenal production on it. Now, if we were to analyze this Travis Scott beat, take a look at how it's structured and exactly how this beat switch-up happens. This entire section here is beat number 1 within Travis Scott's song.
I'm moving night when they really can't see me. I ran it back last time, but
and this section here is beat number 2.
I'm too exposed, I gotta keep curtains closed. Her body.
And this entire middle portion here is the transition as we go from one beat to another. And you can see it's almost a minute long, and this is the approach that most producers use if they want to create a beat switch. They create this slow, fluid change over time. Now let's compare this to what JPEGMAFIA does. If we take a look at the track It's Dark and Hell Is Hot. So here is the first beat within the song. And here is the second beat. And take a look at how quickly JPEGMAFIA jumps from one beat to another. This transition period is so much shorter, and yet it still works. So how is he able to create transitions that work so well like this? Ones that don't require minutes of time like how it might for most other producers. Well, connecting textures and selectively introducing sounds is what helps him do this. Let me show you what I mean. Here is the sample that is used for this song. Now what you'll notice is that the strange vocals within the sample appear all throughout the entire song in both beats. Here I've broken down this transition, and you can see in the sample layer here, the same sample continues playing as we go from one beat to the next. And by doing this, moving from one beat idea to another becomes easier because there's this connective sound within both beats, so not everything is different between these two ideas. And what you'll also notice is that he doesn't introduce every single new sound in beat number 2 all at once. For instance, this new bass texture doesn't come in immediately, but a bit later instead. So now it doesn't feel as though too much in this beat is changing all at once, so this beat switch up doesn't feel jarring because of that. This is a smart idea that you can think about using in your beats. Now let's talk about another idea. When it comes to sound pairing, JPEGMAFIA's approach is different again compared to what other producers do. For example, let's take this Kanye West song here.
Soon as I pull up and park the Benz, we get this bitch shaking like Parker said.
Here we have a beat that is uniform in its texture, meaning we have this electronic modular synth as the main sound in the beat, and we have electronic drums being used alongside this synth. Let's take another example. This is the beat for Dip, a Skywalker beat for Danny Brown.
Don't let me into my zone. Don't let me into my zone. Don't let me into my zone.
Again, uniform textures, an electronic modular synth as the main sound, and electronic drums. Now let's compare this to what JPEGMAFIA does in New Black History.
Let's resume, walk like when the elephant in the room. Plus trunk hold whatever niggas need to boom.
Here we have this electronic modular synth similar to the other beats that we just played. But the drums are not electronic in this beat. He instead pairs this with live acoustic drums. And the reason why you don't see this done often is because it's actually pretty hard to do. The reason why is because you'll notice with a lot of electronic drums is that the individual sounds are much shorter. And the advantage of using shorter drums like this is it allows you for more room to add these large colorful synths just like in the original beats that I showed you. But when we compare these drums to acoustic drums, which are much larger and more colorful, these are just going to leave you with less room. So this idea of pairing colorful synthetic sounds with acoustic drums becomes difficult. But the way that JPEGMAFIA is able to balance this is by using synthetic textures a bit differently. Unlike the beats that I showed you from other producers, take a listen to the loop that JPEGMAFIA uses. The texture of this synth isn't bright or full like the other beats were. Most of these notes that JPEGMAFIA uses sit in a lower frequency, and only a couple of these notes are arpeggiating up into that brighter area. I'll play this again. This allows for more freedom and more space to use these bigger, more colorful drums, but still have room for rapping. But we still have this really cool, unique match of synthetic and acoustic. Again, just a really smart idea here in his production that allows him to do this. Personally, I can't recall too many examples of other producers doing this idea this well. One that does jump to mind is J Dilla when he did this all over Rough Draft, which is one of my favorite albums.
Flooring filth, good night, shit the pimps. The cars, the hard hitters, the giants. Cats preparing for the last days like it's J2K.
And that might be why New Black History is probably my favorite beat off of this new JPEGMAFIA album. Moving on, let's talk about the final idea for this video. What might be the strangest part about this album to me is how vocal samples are used. Now, vocal samples are nothing new in hip-hop. Producers have been using them to make beats forever. A great example of this is Devil in a New Dress, again a Kanye West song produced by Bink.
Put your hands to the constellations. The way you look should be a sin. You my sensation.
This beat is a great example of how most producers commonly approach using vocal samples. For one, they will select vocal samples that introduce a sense of musicality into the beat. Furthermore, they will reinforce this melodic idea of the vocal sample using other instruments and build musical patterns around the vocals. But this is yet again where JPEGMAFIA does something different on this album. This is best displayed on the beat for Don't Rely on Other Men.
I want my bitch to compartment, she bring it in garment, she can't fuck no regular dude.
So first off, take a look at the actual vocal sample that is used. Is it a melodic, beautiful piece of singing from an old soul record like most producers use? No. It's some random sentence that's said by a character on Succession, a TV show.
I hear you went down. Did you go down?
Oh yeah, I did.
So the fact that he decided to use a weird sample like this is already strange enough. It's amelodic and it sounds like you're just hearing a series of words being said. But even with that, there's still an opportunity to introduce some melodic ideas in this beat using outside instrumentation. Well, JPEGMAFIA doesn't do that. Take a look at what he does build around this sample.
Down. I hear you went down.
It's pretty much amelodic as well. Here I'm using a secret analysis tool that I cannot reveal just yet. This is showing you the notes that are being played within this song, and as you can see, it's pretty much just one long note that has a little switch up in the middle of it. All of these ideas are just so different than what most producers choose to do when they make beats. So let's go ahead and try using some of these ideas to make a beat of our own. Starting off, I'm gonna find a sample of a modular synth to build my beat around. Here is what I'll use. I'll use parts of this synth sample that aren't quite as bright for my first layer. That will allow me more room for what I want to add on later. And for my drums, I'm going to choose a live acoustic drum set. For the bass, I'll create this rolling pattern. I think that would work well with this idea. And I think this loop just needs a little bit more, so I'm gonna go find yet another layer within the same sample to add on top. Next, let's see if we can create a switch up just like JPEGMAFIA. Again, I want this to occur in just a matter of seconds instead of minutes. So to do this, I'm going to carry over some of the sounds for beat number 2 to create that connectivity. So let's take this sample and have it continue to play as we move into beat number 2. And then for beat number 2, I will keep using the same texture within it, but I'm going to change a lot of the other sounds in this beat. So let's take a listen to what we have. Cool. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe. If you're a fan of JPEGMAFIA, I do have an older video where I analyzed his last album before this. Click that right next to me if you're interested. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye bye.